Welcome to the Planet Paintball Podcast, the ultimate podcast for paintball enthusiasts. Each week, we dive into the world of paintball, bringing you stories, insights, and tips from players, coaches, and industry insiders. Sponsored by 1023 Sportswear. Looking for high-quality gear that performs as hard as you do? Check out 1023 Sportswear. And as a listener of the Planet Paintball Podcast, you can get 20% off your order with the code Planet Paintball. Suit up, save big, and play your best.
All right, welcome back to the Planet Paintball Podcast, brought to you by 1023 Sportswear and Southwest Paintball in Bayfield, Colorado. Go check out both those companies and check out that field in Colorado if you're out there. As a reminder, this weekend is the last weekend for you to secure a pre-order t-shirt and get one of these stickers. Might have too much light. There we go. Let's see. Two for 50 and one for 30. And we got Planet Paintball hats on there. Link is in the bio, so go check it out and secure yours today because they will be a limited run. All right. Well, today I have someone on who I've wanted for a while, Jared from Insane Paintball. How you doing today, Jared?
I'm good, Hunter. How are you, man? It's an honor to get to come hang out with you for a little while.
Well, I appreciate you making the time. You're coming off the long weekend. You were open Labor Day, yeah?
We were, yeah. We had a good turnout yesterday, man. It was pretty cool over here at Insane Paintball. We try to run some games on holidays when people are off work or out of school. We had a 50 or 60 players out yesterday having some fun on an off day. So the weather's been good the last couple of weeks, which I think's gotten a lot more people out wanting to play and getting that itch as we get closer to fall.
Yeah, man. Weather is turning in our favor finally, for sure. How long have you been at the new location? Has it been a year yet?
Actually, it has. It's crazy. I keep calling it the new location. I'm like, yeah, at our new place. And actually, this past June, a couple of months back, we've been here 3 years now. So it's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I think what makes it still feel new is we keep adding new stuff. It's kind of one of those like Rome wasn't built in a day type of things. And we've, we kind of had a schedule. Some things have drug out longer than we hoped, but our retail shop that I'm sitting in right now, it actually didn't even open up to this past December. So it's like multiple stages of opening things. So we still got a couple of fields to get knocked out. But yeah, man, 3 years since we've been at our old location that was downtown Chattanooga, that we've been at for 17 years. So we're already counting them up here, which is wild just to think it's going by that fast.
Nice. And you're technically right across the border, right? But you're still in that Chattanooga sprawl, if you will.
Yeah, that's correct. So we had been downtown Chattanooga for years. And when we made the move here, it's funny. We are in Georgia now. So a lot of people are like, oh, they moved over the state line. But we literally are like less than 5 minutes from the Tennessee state line. And our property kind of sits up on a hill a little bit. And it's funny because you can actually see the Chattanooga downtown skyline from the top of our property. So, I mean, we're literally a stone's throw. Drive time, you can be right downtown to like the Tennessee Aquarium and all the tourist stuff within 12 or 15 minutes tops. So it's just up the road.
Nice. Yeah. I planning on making the trip out there next year with the Rice and Bean Boys for a event or two. And I really want to come and check out one of the Blue Ridge Paintball Club events. Are you hosting all of them this go around?
Yeah, so this fall, it's awesome you ask. We got to give a shout out to the guys with the Blue Ridge Paintball Club. Brad Broom is going to be kind of heading things up this year, so it's taken a little bit of change of admin, I guess, and we're excited to kind of see where it goes, and we're helping as much as we can. So they are all being played at Insane Paintball. We don't own the league or the club, or we kind of help. I guess we help logistics and that sort of thing, but it's not our club by any means. We're excited to host them all this year. The first event, actually, I think tomorrow or the next day, we're going to hear when this recording releases. We're on September 2nd. So by September 3rd or 4th, you're going to see dates announced. So probably by the time this releases, you'll be hearing dates or know about dates already. But yeah, there'll be 4 events this fall, one a month, and it's just a great time, man. It's just like, it's pure paintball. It's competitive, but it's not It's not too much though for people that may be newer into the game to join and still have a great time. But it is competitive game. So people that play, on a regular basis or play tournaments, that you can still come have fun and feel like you're almost getting in a little bit of a practice without the intensity of having it just be your team. Everybody's kind of mixing in.
Yeah.
Mixing up. So it's almost like a street ball day, really, is what it kind of is. But it is all mech 5-5, so it kind of follows the classic format, which keeps it fun for everybody. And yeah, we play all the fields. We play a lot of hyperball, and then we mix it up, play the woods some. We play our field we call Barrage, which has like forts and cars and stuff on it. So we play some more rec style games, and then we play some tournament style stuff on the hyperball field. So it's really cool.
Nice. And you guys did one of the funnest events I've seen in a while a couple months ago with the old school. I don't even know how to call it because it wasn't cockers. It was like old school blowbacks, if you will.
It was. Yeah. So maybe this is my old school heart that wanted to do something. There's a lot. I don't know. It's hard to explain unless you've ever played what I call the true classic form of the game. Just good, fun, blowback style paintball that's not even the modern day mechs, but you're talking automags, autocockers, Tipmans, spiders, pump guns for that case. So we basically made it like a really old school classic day, and it was pretty cool. We had a good turnout. We had a few guys that traveled in a couple of hours to join. We obviously we knew it was kind of something we'd have to start and hit the ground running with it to see if it would take off. But man, it turned out to be a lot of fun. Like, you forget what it's like to have to squeegee your gun mid-game, like with old school guns, like nowadays you break a ball, it breaks in your barrel, you don't have good accuracy, but you can shoot through it. With those old guns, you chop a ball, like your bolt jams up, you're out of the game, so you're out there like jamming it with a straight shot squeegee trying to clean out your barrel. So it's just the pure form of the game, that all these new faster mech guns, although I love it, it's a blast playing with the new modern stuff, but the old school stuff is just, it really takes you back to your roots. So yeah, so I broke out some old Renegade camos and stuff and really was like, I'm gonna go as old school as I can. So it was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, how many fields you guys got set up right now?
So I think we've got
not new location.
Yeah, so I think we're at 7. So we've got a regulation X ball field on turf. We're probably one of the only fields in the country, for that matter, that has a regulation Hormesis dual field on site. It's on turf. We have its own bunker kit, and it's open all the time. So it's not like we're taking our airball field and putting that in its place. You can go play one-on-ones anytime throughout the day if you choose to. So we've got that field. We've got a field we call Barrage, which is basically like a blown up city. It's got like cars and buildings and, just kind of your classic hybrid style field. It's got, it's kind of got some trees and stuff on it too, but it's just a classic rec field. We've got a 10-man hyperball field that's regulation size. We've got a traditional kind of 10-man woods field it's got some forts in the corner, so you can play it a little rec style, but throughout the center, most of the field, it's just your traditional wooded, logs and timber type field. We call that ambush for the rec players that like to call the fields maps. And then we've got fortress. So it's basically like medieval castle, a big castle that's 2 stories on each end of the field, and you can do attack and defend games up the hill. Lots of different buildings and bunkers on that field. That's really cool. And then I guess lastly, retro. We built it a few months back. It's kind of a nod to like the old school 90s, like, all the bunkers back in the day were like low bunkers, like X shapes, and maybe had a barrel on top of the wood or something. And so it's kind of a 3-man, 5-man, kind of a real fast speedball type field. It's pretty cool, but it's a smaller field. So yeah, so I think we're 6 or 7 fields now, which is wild. So we've got room for 2 or 3 more that we're planning on building as time goes. But we really try to take pride in doing them right and have a theme to each field, and not just throw up sticks or pallets in the woods, and call it a paintball field. So it's time consuming to build fun fields, and obviously they're not cheap to build too. So we're trying to.
What's gone up?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, lumber pricing and materials are not getting cheaper. So anyway, yeah. So we've still got some plans. We're going to try to do something with shipping containers here in the near future. We're working on a big wooded area right now. It's about 6 or 7 acres that we'll be able to combine that with our current ambush and fortress fields that will give us about 12 acres in total, which will allow us to do some like big games and little mini scenario type games. So we're working on buildings and stuff in that right now. So we're excited to get that to completion so that we can start launching some events, for big game players that want to do that.
Nice. And you have a proper pro shop on site, which is kind of rare.
Yeah, we've it's funny, so our roots when we originally opened all the way back in 2000, we were a retail store to begin with. And funny enough, that first retail store was in Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, which is literally about 3-4 miles down the road from where we are now. So we opened that store in 2000. We opened up our original the downtown Chattanooga location. It opened in 2005, late 05, early 06. And then we had a really big, nice store at that location. So after being there for 17 years, we had really just a really cool store of you pretty much get about for sure all the necessities, and a lot of cool high end stuff too. But when we moved up here, we're like, man, we want to have some type of retail presence. Obviously, the retail environment's changed a little bit over the years, with just the online, growth and that sort of thing. So this store's not quite as large as the one was at the old place, but it's still, gosh, I think we're 1,200 square feet here. So it's still a good size shop, that has plenty of stuff in it. It's AC, it's a legit store. It's not a shack at the field side.
Yeah.
It's a legit building that gives us a place too. We can book our groups, and it's kind of our admin office space too. But it's cool that we've got a really nice setup in here. So we've been blessed to make this happen and get it done.
Mm-hmm. And you've done a good job of self-branding a lot of stuff. Do you handle all that in-house, or do you send it out to someone?
Yeah, so most of the stuff we design in-house. So Eric Evans, that's been with us, pushing 20 years now, man. He's my right-hand man. Love him to death. He's got a really good eye for design. And so he's pretty much self-taught, and he's just one of those people that just kind of sees things and comes up with it. So he does a lot of our design work, like our flyers, our brochures, clothing type stuff, that we have, like our custom pants and jerseys that are kind of behind me here, stuff like that. He does all the design work and submit it. Obviously, we don't manufacture it, but we do all the design work and send it in. Yeah. So occasionally we outsource some things, but yeah, we try to keep as much as we can in-house, and
cool.
He does an awesome job with it.
And, what you said, 2000, so 25 years.
Yeah. So the big anniversary's coming up. We're actually, we're planning some stuff on the back end. So everybody keep an ear out for that. Oh, your dog hurt my dog hurt.
I think it was both.
That's awesome. He's like, hey, I hear a friend. But yeah, we've got the 25-year anniversary right around the corner. So we're going to be launching some stuff for that here soon. To celebrate. We definitely don't want to miss that big date. It's flown by. It's crazy to think, 25 years, man. It's a long time. We managed to keep the ball rolling for all that time, and hopefully, 25 more. Here we come.
And the downtown was indoor, right?
We had both.
Was it indoor? You had both. It was indoor and outdoor.
Yeah.
What was Let me ask you this, because I when I started playing, it was indoor. But how did that change throughout the years? Because when you started it, there wasn't X-Ball yet, right?
That's right.
There wasn't the standardized field and everything. And I've seen a lot of really great indoor fields come and go throughout the years, but I don't think people appreciate how challenging they are. Yeah. So can you kind of speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So we opened that, we bought that location, I guess end of 2004. We opened in 05, 06. So I'm trying to think through the years now. X Ball started in 2003. I think was the first official year of X Ball. So we wanted. I'll kind of back up a little bit. So we had the retail shop in Georgia. At the time, we were just a store. We had no field to play at, so we were having to kind of send our customers to other fields around the area that wanted a place to play if they weren't playing at home. At that time, there was a lot of people that just played at the house. Everybody back then had a gun and a CO2 tank, and you'd have people playing at their family's property or friend's house. But then that was the heyday. You call it the mecca time of paintball. There were a lot of fields around, so we sent a lot of customers to different places around the area. But we knew we needed a place to send customers to ourselves so we could, kind of complete the circle. We'd have retail and a field. So when we found that property, we were excited because it was on, I think, 6 acres. And it had a large indoor space with it and outdoor field space too. So, we can offer the best of both worlds, have a really cool indoor facility and a really cool outside facility too. And we were thinking, like everybody does, hey, if rainy days, it's a good place to play. You can play at night, etc. And so at the time, that was before like all the college and NFL fields were putting in turf for collegiate and pro sports. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't like used turf laying around. You see all the fields nowadays with turf. There's always like a college fields and stuff getting rid of their turf, and you can go get basically free turf because they don't want to pay to throw it away. Back then, if you wanted turf, you pretty much had to buy new turf. And so we spent an absolute fortune to purchase basically enough turf to do 2, if I remember correctly, they were like 70 feet wide by 160 long. So a little over half of an X-ball field in width, but and a few feet longer than an X-ball field in length. And so we did 2 fields there was like a staging area in between them. And so the field sizes were the same. But we bought brand new turf. We had a custom like padding put under the turf to make it softer because it was on concrete floors. Yeah. Looking back, we spent, I think it was something like $50,000 on turf, which was crazy. Now you look back and I'm like, what were we thinking? But we literally built like the pinnacle indoor facility. There had been some other big facilities, and like you said, a lot had come and gone. And now we know why. Looking back, it's incredibly expensive to keep them up. They're beautiful when they open, but if you can imagine, that much paint getting shot in an indoor field, you've got to remove those paintballs. And facilities that are blessed to have like drainage in the floors, that's one thing. You can spray off the turf and let it drain, but all that muck has to go somewhere. And when you're shooting skids and skids of paint indoors, it is just, it's so nasty. I remember some of our guys, and I helped with it as well, but I have to give a lot of credit to some of our staff. We would spend literally like we called it critter in the fields because we used it was like a substance called critter or something that we used, but it was like an antibacterial substance. Like once a year or so, we would go through and basically we'd spray that on the field and kind of douse everything with a pressure washer and spray it good. Then we literally had to go in with like carpet extractors and suck all the gunk up. It was the like when you think of like that Dirty Jobs TV show, like that should have been on Dirty Jobs. It was so nasty. It was just 55-gallon barrels full of just gunk that smelled horrible. And so long story short, it's so difficult to keep an indoor field looking nice. And then you add to that just the cost of keeping an indoor field open just from utilities, insurance, taxes. There's so much more that goes into it than just entry fees and paint sales and paying some refs. There's a lot more hidden costs behind. What was weird though, as the time went, we found a lot of players were intimidated by it because it is loud. Indoor, it's a louder sound. Since those fields weren't regulation like X-ball size, you could play 5 or 7 man on them, but it was intense. Right off the break, there's paint in your face and it's loud. And so a lot of like our birthday parties and stuff like that, they kind of opted like, hey, we just want to play outside. And so we found as time went, we were seeing less and less play on those fields. And so that's when we started kind of slowly phasing them out a bit. And in the end, when we finally closed that facility down, we kind of converted everything to indoor airsoft, which is a lot easier to keep things clean because you got BBs versus paint everywhere. But it was cool while it lasted. It's funny. There's still some pictures that pop up like on Google occasionally. You can see our old Insane indoor field. There's some old YouTube videos and stuff too. And it's crazy though how nice it looks when we first opened it. It was a beautiful indoor field. But yeah, all good things must come to an end, I guess. And that was that moved on. Yeah, no, it was good memories with the indoor fields. I remember probably one of the coolest ones was the CFOA in 2006 and 7, I think. We held their River Jam Open. It was I think 120 or 35 man teams. I mean, it was massive back then when it was pre-X-ball. And after that event was over, obviously we had all the post-event cleanup. I'm not kidding. The fields were netted in, obviously all the way around, and the ceilings. There was, if I remember correct, there was close to 2 feet of paint on the back nets deep. They used shovels throughout the event, rakes to kind of rake all the paint off the field to the back, and then everything that was hitting was just falling. We literally loaded a dumpster full of boxes of used paint. I mean, it was crazy how much paint had got shot.
Wow.
Yeah, so I don't miss those days. It was fun, but I don't miss it.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. That's a lot. That's a lot of cleanup. Well, let's not get too far into this without finding out how you found paintball, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I can get to talking. It's fun. I like reminiscing.
No, it's been great.
Yeah, so I can give you the short and sweet version or the little more extended version, I guess.
We'll go for the extended version.
Right. So we move us on if it goes too long. So I first found paintball probably 1995, if I had to guess. There was a local mall in Chattanooga that was had turned in. It wasn't the cool mall anymore. It turned into kind of like all the gag gift stores and kind of junk stores, I guess. And my dad and I were walking through there on Christmas. So I guess I was probably 9 or 10, probably 10, if I remember correctly. And it was called Anna's Place. And so we walked in this store called Anna's Place, and basically it was, they just sold like magic tricks and all kinds of stuff, but there was a section dedicated to paintball. So I guess I don't know, maybe Anna's husband, I don't know if that was her name, but anyway, he ran the paintball side of things and had like a full wall of paintball gear. And so my dad and I walk in and we're just kind of browsing, and they're like, "Hey, you want to hold one of these guns?" I was like, "Sure, I'll check it out." And looking back, now I had no clue at the time what I was holding. It was like a Stingray 1, if I remember correctly. So it was a total, cheap, not a good gun by any means. But I remember just thinking, this is cool, but I didn't think too much else of it other than just it looked neat. So fast forward about a year and a half, I guess we get into like 97. I hadn't really thought about paintball at all. And all of a sudden, some neighbors in my neighborhood, I guess had been going to a local field in Chattanooga. If I remember correctly, it was called Chattanooga Splatterball. And anyway, they had been going up there a few times. And one of the guys was like, "Hey, we're going this weekend. Do you want to come with us?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to come play." And for me, like, I grew up, I loved G.I. Joes and all kind of Army type stuff as a kid. So for me, it was like, this is awesome. I'm gonna get to shoot paintballs. So anyway, I'm at his house, and he's like, "Hey, well, I got my stepdad's gun. Do you want to shoot it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to shoot it." And so he brought out this little. Looking back, it was some type of, maybe a tracer pump or a phantom pump or something. It was not a nice pump gun, but it was okay. We had a few paintballs, and so we're in his front yard, and there was like an empty lot across the street. And so I shot like 5 shots into the woods across the street. And right that second, man, like something clicked, like my life changed like in an instant. It's crazy. So I guess I was 12 years old. So that was definitely 97. And I was like, "Oh, this is going to be awesome. I've got to do it." So that next weekend, we go to the paintball field, and I remember I didn't have anything really to wear. Cause I didn't know what to expect. And it was a traditional like woods field. It's called North Georgia Paintball, in Rock Spring, Georgia, where they were going that weekend. And, anyway, so I had some old blue jeans that had some like holes in the knees, and I was like, "Man, I need some camo." So I remember I had some like green spray paint in the garage, so I like spray painted like tiger stripes on my blue jeans. So I was like, "Man, I'm ready to go." So we get to the field, and it was like a traditional, you can imagine a field back in the 90s. it had like a little metal shack with all the gear in it, and I remember walking up, and the owner's son was there, and I was like, oh God, I was intimidated, not knowing what to expect. Anyway, so we get our guns, we go out and play, and I'll never forget, like they were renting Indian Creek Thundercats was their rental guns. So throwback to the old Indian Creek. But yeah, so we played that first day, and I think, if I remember correctly, I only got shot in the mask that day. I never got like a body shot. And again, that's back when I probably shot 200 or 300 paintballs all day. I mean, again, high volumes of paint wasn't the norm back then, unless maybe you played tournaments. And so I still didn't know what it felt like to get shot. So I'm like, I got to get shot at some point. So I knew that I was like, this is so fun. This is an absolute blast. I got to keep doing this. And it was just a classic field. Had a creek running through it, and a fort in the back. And so you could play like attack and defend games and all kinds of cool, just classic game modes. But I went back the next weekend, and that's when I got shot the first time. I remember I was standing behind a tree, and some guys were there with like autocockers and stuff, and I remember I just got shot in the ribs, and it bounced. It didn't even break, and it just came out of nowhere. I was like, I don't even know where this ball came from. I just got shot. But I was like, man, I felt that one, but man, this is fun. I'm loving it. So, so that was pretty much the start. And then I kind of fast forward there. I was hooked. I was like, whatever I had to do to afford to buy paintball gear, I'm going to do it. And again, as a 12-year-old kid, I mowed yards around the neighborhood, and that's how I'd buy paint. Back then, that's like pre-Craigslist and Facebook, obviously. So when you want to sell stuff, you put things in the newspaper. So my mom helped me put like my trampoline and my Super Nintendo in the newspapers from the classified section, and so so I was able to sell those things to some people, and I was able to buy my first gun, which was a Tippmann 68 carbine.
Okay.
And I got a case of paintballs and JT goggle and stuff, so I was set. So that was the very beginning for me, man. I got to the point like all I wanted to do was play paintball. And every single weekend as a kid, I was finding a way to the field, and my mom was awesome. Like my dad wasn't really in the picture much as a kid, but my mom, man, if it weren't for her getting me to and from the field as a kid, she would spend the weekends helping me get there. I'd mow yards in the morning. Then she'd usually throw me a little extra money to help me buy a case of paint if I didn't have quite enough. But yeah, like she would drive me 25, 30 minutes to the field and then pick me up in the evening. Sometimes I was there so much, the field owner got to the point he would sometimes bring me home just to, I would help him out. So I started reffing a little bit. They had some groups and stuff. And again, by that point, I was probably pushing 13. So I'd help them ref or whatever for field fees and just whatever I could do to play, as much as possible. So I was just consumed by it. The 96 ESPN games that were the first time, it's funny, paintball was just on ESPN Live. Like the first time paintball was on ESPN, it was in 96, I guess, or 90. I guess it was 97, but it was filmed in 96. The paintball championships were like these. They were in the middle of like an orange grove with like red and white bunkers and blue and white bunkers. And I remember I recorded those on my VCR at home every day after school because it came on right as school was getting out, and I would record those things. I think to this day I still have them in my closet somewhere. So I was all consumed by the game, and so that's really where the chaos began. It was like it was kind of the start of it all.
So from field rat to first tournament, how long did it take?
yeah, there you go. So the next big progression, obviously everybody plays a lot, and they start going, hey, I want to do this competitively. So we started. Let's see, a friend of mine that I was going to school with, him and I started this goofy little team, which we only played one tournament, so I didn't even really call it a team. It was like we had grand visions of we're going to play tournaments. We called our team Suicide Rush. So again, I guess by that point I was in 8th or 9th grade, I guess, and the Zap Masters in 98 was coming up, so that would have been fall of 98. So I guess at that point I'd been playing about a year and a half, maybe.
Okay.
So that's when Jim Lively was still putting on the Masters, and that was at Nashville Paintball Sports, Jacob and Caleb Adcock's dad's place. And so went up there with him. We were going to play 3-man. They had like a big game going on with the tournament, so you could play the big game. And so our goal was that we're just going to play the big game, but then we'll play the 3-man, which was in the evening under the lights. But we only had him and I. We didn't have a third player. So we're thinking like, we're going to go up here and just find somebody to play with us, and or we'll play just him and I. We had no clue what to expect, other than what we'd seen in magazines at the time. And so we get there, and this scraggly little kid comes running up to us, and he's like, "Hey, y'all playing the 3-man?" We're like, "Yeah, we actually need a person. You want to play with us?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll play." And that turned out to be Ryan Bowers, which he was part of the original Sabre Wolves Pups. And so that's how I got to kind of meet some of the guys from the Sabre Wolves early on, which was crazy. For my very first tournament, I kind of connected with those guys, those kids at the time. And him and I created a good relationship, and bless Ryan, rest in peace, man. Him and I got to be pretty good friends. We would talk on like AOL Instant Messenger and chit chat all the time. And he ended up moving up to play with the Sabre Wolves back in the early, I guess, late 2001, I guess. And then we'd sit on like AOL Instant Messenger and I'd ask him about practices and just, again, I was just consumed by it. And that's pre-Facebook and all that stuff. So we would just sit on AOL and chat back and forth, and
with the dial-up still going.
Yeah, dial-up. You make all those crazy noises. But hey, dude, I'll be right back. My mom's gonna make a phone call. But yeah, so that was 98. We played. I'll be honest, it was a blur. Like we got beat up on. Like Ryan knew what he was doing. He was crazy aggressive. My friend Matt and I, we were pretty clueless, and it wasn't a great experience from a paintball, but that was my first experience getting to see a legitimate tournament with teams from all over the country. It just opened my eyes to like, wow, I've got to do this as much as I can. So that was 98. So then come 99, some guys that played at the field a lot. So my buddy on that first little team, he kind of quit playing and just went in, girls and cars, and he got into other interests. I was still going to the field all the time, and there were some guys that played locally out at the field a lot, who had kind of took me as almost like a little brother to them, and they were wanting to form some team to play the MSPA series in '99, and so we played 4 or 5 events in the '99 series as a team called Ultimate Tragedy. So I go from Suicide Rush to Ultimate Tragedy.
There's a theme here.
Yeah. So we were a bit of a tragedy, but it was fun. So we played the 99 like in novice MSPA, and that's really where I started getting a lot more experience, playing some tournaments and just fell in love with the game even more. And then I guess around, let's see, so that team was kind of based out of the North Georgia paintball field that I mentioned, and the owner of that field, he made some bad choices. He had opened a little store, and it unfortunately just a lot of bad decisions from an ownership point of view and a personal life point of view, and ended up going out of business. When that happened, all of us, we all kept playing, but we didn't have like our local field where all at, so things kind of disbanded a little bit, I guess. At that point, so I would have been 15 or 16 at that point. I told my mom at the time, or my stepfather at the time, it was my mom was dating him. I was like, we were having discussions like, guys, like, I know a paintball store can work if it's ran good. And I'm a goofy little 16-year-old, like, what do I know? And my stepdad, he was a bit of a I guess had a lot of business knowledge and real estate knowledge and that sort of thing. And so he had worked kind of at some banks and stuff. And so he kind of got into it of like, he had some interest. He was into guns and stuff too. And he thought it was cool. And I was like, but hey, I know if this thing's ran right and it's not, bad decisions aren't being made, I think this thing can make a little bit of money and maybe do okay to support the area, and we can grow paintball in Chattanooga. That original store I mentioned that was called Anna's Place, it had over the time changed its name to Adventures in Paintball, but it was kind of phasing out by that point. They weren't, I guess the owner wasn't as invested in it as he once had been. So I felt like there was a hole as a kid. I'm like, there's all these people that want to play and there's nowhere to get stuff in the area. And so anyway, he agreed to basically give me a small business loan. So he went in as like a
Nice.
50% partner with me. And that's where Insane Paintball was born. So that would have been, I guess we opened in September of 2000, a little retail shop. And, at the time, it was a way for me to learn, a lot about just, I guess, customer service skills, a way for me to learn a lot of, I guess, business lessons I didn't really know I would need one day. It was really all to kind of support the hobby. But he made me draw up a little business plan and show like, okay, here's how much money you're going to need, and here's the expenses, and here's, as little as I knew about business, he was kind of throwing me into the deep end of you've got to prove to me this is going to work, and if it doesn't, how are you going to pay this money back? And so crazy story. My mom was in a bit of, I guess you call it a midlife crisis or something. She had gotten to where she was riding it. She had like a little Honda motorcycle, like a street bike that she had bought. She went to like motorcycle safety course and stuff, and that was like her. Nice. That was her passion. I love paintball, and she was into motorcycles at the time. Anyway, since they were still dating, he was like, "Well, I'm not going to give you this money without any collateral." So she put her motorcycle up as collateral to him. So like if the paintball business failed, he could get his money back by selling the bike. I don't know if he would really took the bike or not, but it was like this crazy. So it's 16 years old. I have this like crazy pressure of you can't let this fail. Your mom's put her motorcycle on the line, like you got to make this work. Mm-hmm. So that was my junior year of high school. So and next thing I know, I'm running a little paintball shop, with the help of them. He would come in after work and like tinker on guns. He went to some paintball tech classes and stuff. So he got involved because he just liked tinkering on the gear. Obviously I was obsessed with the game and the gear, and, so it worked out pretty cool. And that was, 2000. And so kind of going backwards, as I mentioned earlier about the indoor field, we knew we needed a place for customers to play. After a few years, it was like, man, this thing's doing okay. We weren't getting rich by any means. I wasn't taking a paycheck, but it was allowing me to play paintball on the weekends. And we had hired, there was a couple of local guys that I was good friends with that helped us on the weekends if I was at a tournament or something. But I would go in every day after work or after school and work. And then my senior year of school, I had like a work release program, so I could get out of school at like 11 or 12, and I'd go work at the paintball shop every day. So literally, if I wasn't at the paintball field, I was at the paintball store. I mean, it was a 7-day-a-week thing for me. It was, like I said, it was all consuming. I just absolutely was in love with it.
Probably kept you out of trouble though.
It did. I can't say I didn't get in any trouble, but I did keep me out of a lot of trouble. So yeah, I probably got more trouble with just paintball shenanigan people than I did outside. But yeah, no, I was blessed, man. It definitely kept me out of trouble with friends outside of paintball. I mean, there's a lot of people that you see over the years that get into drugs and crazy stuff, and that was never me. I was just It was always like, when's the next event? When's the next practice? When's the next time I can play? So it turned into a blessing in disguise, and definitely kept me out of any kind of major issues.
Nice. You got such a long history, but to like hit some of the highlights, you've been in the Gridlock camp, you've been in the Extreme Sports Fulfillment camp, you've been with Mayhem, which is kind of like a weird trauma Gridlock thing, and then obviously the Sabre Wolves. You were with them when they did the run on what I call the Resurgence of classic paintball, and you recently just won with Dark Carnival.
Yeah, it's right? Crazy, man. Yeah, crazy kind of timeline. You hit on a lot of cool ones. I can hit on a few things there to kind of bounce us in and around.
Yeah, but, please do wherever you want to go, man.
I'll try to make it not too drug out. But so after I'd been playing, I guess early 2000s. I was playing with a team out of our store that we started up called Insane Kids. It was it was back when the Iron Kids were big, so everybody had the kids name after their team. We were still playing MSPAs and just anything we could play, a few little CFOA events here and there, lots of local 3-mans and stuff like that. And I guess that would have been going into the 2002 season. I was playing a 10-man at Nashville Paintball Sports, which is funny enough. That's where I played my first tournament at the Masters '98. So it was at the MSPA. They had a 10-man the day before, and I was playing with a pickup team that just needed somebody for the 10-man, and we were playing the 5-man the next day as Insane Kids. But anyway, I'd gotten to know a lot of the guys that had recently joined Dark Carnival, who lived in Atlanta. A guy everybody called Mad Dog, Bishop, and some of those guys. Anyway, they were already playing with Ken Barrett from Dark Carnival, and I guess they asked Ken to watch me play a game or something, and it just so happened, if I vaguely remember correctly, it came down to me and maybe one other guy on our team, and with several other people on other teams still alive, and I didn't do anything miraculous like shoot everybody or anything, but I remember I shot 2 or 3 people, I think, and held my own for a long period of time in that kind of closing of that 10-man game. And Ken, I guess, saw it. So that night we were out to eat with my little Insane Kids crew that we were playing with the next day, and just so happened we were at the same restaurant in Lebanon, Tennessee that Ken and the guys from Dark Carnival were at. Anyway, so Ken comes up to me and asks me to chat with me, and so that's how I met Ken Barrett. Was him kind of saying like, "Hey, I saw you play. I'd like to invite you to a practice." I think it was like Atlantic City 2002, maybe. I think it was 2002. Was that next weekend? So they were playing the MPPL up there, 10-man, and so they were going. And he was like, "Hey, the weekend after, if you want to drive to Greenville, South Carolina, I'd love to have you come see how see how it goes with the team and kind of go from there." So at that point, I started hitching rides out of Atlanta with the guys that lived in Atlanta from DC, and kind of drive halfway, then they would drive, kind of tote me up the rest of the way. Got on Dark Carnival. So Ken really gave me my opportunity to meet a lot of people and get my foot in the national level scene. Yeah, so that would have been 2002. I played with Dark Carnival. I guess I played World Cup that year with them. No, that was 01. That was 2001 because I played all of 2002 with them. And then at the end of 2002, Ken went to Gridlock.
Okay.
And I kept playing with the guys that were still with DC. I think I finished out World Cup with them that year. So maybe I played the first couple of events. And then during the off-season 02 going into 03, Ken and I ended up having a really good relationship, and we were good friends. And obviously I was proud of him for getting to move on and move up to the Gridlock scene. But he got me an offer or an ability to try out for Gridlock in the 02 offseason going to 03. At that time, Gridlock was moving to the AMA division. They had been AMB, I guess, prior. And then, so that was going to 03, which coincidentally, that was the first year that X-Ball was becoming a thing too. So I guess the NPPL still, it wasn't even, I don't think it was even PSP at that time. You could play like Pro-Am 10-man, or you could play X-Ball that year. So you could pick what you wanted to do. And Gridlock was still going to play 10-man. So we played Las Vegas. I made the team, which was awesome. I'll never forget, John Tinker gave me a headband, and that was kind of my welcome to the team. And I still got that old Gridlock headband, which is really cool. So John and I became real good buddies, and a lot of the guys from the Gridlock camp. So we played Las Vegas that year. Maybe I backtrack. We refed Los Angeles, which was event number 1 that year. So we got first place points because back when teams refed, and you could get points for the series. So we refed LA. That's why I can never give refs too hard of a time. It can be frustrating. Man, refing's hard.
It is.
From a national level. Being out there all day is not fun. So we refed LA. Then we played Vegas that year. And I mean, we had a decent event. We didn't do – I think we made the semis. We didn't make the finals. But obviously we were on track to do pretty well. I don't know what really happened, but somewhere in there we found out between that and Chicago that Gridlock was kind of falling apart. So obviously I was heartbroken because I was like, man, I finally get on like a big team after – I was driving back and forth to Greensboro quite a bit.
That's a drive. That's a drive.
6.5 hours. And, so I was just like, this is – what am I going to do? At that time, Ken had started up Extreme Sports Factory team, and they were playing all the CFOAs in 2003, if I remember correctly. So they were already doing really well as XSF 5-man. When Gridlock kind of broke up, he went full head into the XSF program, and that's when he started building out what became the Extreme Sports Factory X-Ball team. I got the opportunity to play with Mayhem. So that's when the Mayhem thing started. For those of you who don't know Mayhem, basically they were kind of Trauma's, call it farm team, kids team at the time. So all those guys were a lot of fun to play with. They're all about my age, so it was a fun experience. So a few of the guys from Gridlock played with Mayhem and finished out the 2003 season playing X-Ball. So we played Chicago, like D2, Chicago, Philly, and World Cup, and had a pretty good run. We didn't win, but I think we had a second and third, and then I don't remember what cup was, but that was a pretty solid season. And then going into 04, man, I was just burned out on driving to Greensboro. Like I loved playing with the guys. It was fun playing with the Mayhem kids, but there was a bunch of kids. You might get there and half the team shows up for practice. I'm like, man, I just drove 6 hours and like a few of the guys are here. You just didn't really know what you're going to get. And again, it was, no excuses, but you got a bunch of kids playing paintball. It just kind of, I think the WCK was for real, like wild and crazy kids. Because that all got started like that year that we were playing with, and it was literally WCK for life. Like everybody was just crazy young kids, just kind of living life at 100 miles an hour. So anyway, I stayed in touch with Ken a lot, and he had said, hey, I'm starting up this team. He was working at Shop for Paintball, which was an online company at the time, and and Extreme Sports Fulfillment was the parent company name, and so they were going to sponsor the team. So there was going to be a little bit of financial advantage, and it was going to be about half the drive. And obviously, I had a good relationship with Ken. So for me, I kind of felt like this is going to be my next best step because it's going to be more put together. So I decided to make the jump to XSF for 2004 to play X-Ball, and so who knows what would have happened. It was always kind of crazy for me. I saw, I guess, right after I went to XSF, we had a practice with Trauma. So it was funny. It's like, we're driving right back to Greensboro. But we get there to that practice, and all the kids from Mayhem were wearing Trauma jerseys. And I'm like, what just happened? And so, would I have gotten to play with Trauma? I don't know. Maybe not. But it was always like one of those things that kind of ate at me of like, did I make the wrong choice? But at the same time, Ken was the reason I got the opportunity to play up there anyway. And so I was kind of pulled in both directions, and and had I tried to play with Trauma, if that could have even maybe happened, I mean, who knows? It might not have. But I was probably going to have to close the paintball store. I was going to probably have to move up there because at the time they had the Trauma House, and a lot of things would have changed, and I wouldn't be sitting here today probably if I had went up there and chased that dream. So, everything happens for a reason, and it is what it is. But yeah, so 2004 jumped on with XSF. We played well. I think we finished second or third at the first event in LA. Orlando was the next event. I think that year we finished second. I think Ultimates who won that event that year. So that's before they went pro. So they beat us in the finals, and
third and second.
Third and second.
First two events.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, had a strong team, and then man, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just in a weird time in life or what. I mean, at that time I was 2004. I guess I was 18. I just graduated high school, and I wasn't burned out. I was still obviously really passionate about playing paintball, but I just didn't want to drive. I guess I just didn't want to drive 3 hours to practice a lot, and I liked the guys on XSF, but some of them were into just having a lot of fun, and it wasn't my type of fun sometimes. And I don't know. I just didn't feel like I fit in real well. I was one of the only guys from out of town, and it just anyway. Ken and I had a good relationship, and so I didn't burn any bridges. I'm just going to step away a little bit. And for the rest of 2004, I ended up playing with a team called Troopers out of Nashville, Tennessee, which turned out, I mentioned at the very beginning, Ryan Bowers that I played with at the 98 Masters of that little three-man team. Ryan had gotten back into paintball after a few years of not playing. I would say probably only a couple of years of not playing, but he had, went on a pretty good run with the original Sabre Wolves when they were still playing 10-man. Ryan had a couple of buddies that were playing competitively in the MSPA again, and I was getting pretty serious with the business. Again, this is 2004. Yeah, 2004.
Paintball's booming.
Paintball was going crazy. The business was doing decent. We were looking for land, and I was going, man, I don't know if I can keep traveling and playing, especially if we're going to open a field. And again, it was just a lot of moving parts to why I kind of left the XSF camp. And those guys were only about an hour and a half to 2 hours max away, and we were playing a lot of regional stuff. Anyway, I got to jump on board with Ryan, which I thought was kind of cool because him and I had been good buddies from way back. Although it was a much smaller scale team, I could focus on the business side and still have fun. So we ended up playing as troopers in the NPPL 7-man. So that's why there's no APPA record, back then. So we played 7-man. I think we played Las Vegas, San Diego, Tampa in 04 and 05. We played a couple of years as troopers and just had fun as kind of kids and goofing off. Lamar from Adrenaline played with us back then.
Okay.
Richie Smith that ended up come back, play original Sabre Wolves. He was on the Sabre Wolf Pups. He played 7-man with us and a few other guys. So again, a lot of old friends that had a great time with. But yeah, that was 2004, 2005, and we opened the field when Insane opened the indoor and outdoor fields in Chattanooga in 2000, late 05, early 06. The business just kind of took over all my attention, and not so much because I wanted it to, but because it was like, whoa, be careful what you wish for. You've now got this. You've got a field. It needs you on the weekends. My daughter was born in 2007, so that was obviously made life kind of crazy being young. So yeah, just a lot of things going on. So I didn't play as much after that. That's kind of it was just one of those. I still love to play. I just didn't get as many opportunities, and I wasn't focused on playing as much as I was trying to keep the business afloat. I guess at that point I was 21, 22 years old. And I'm going like, oh my gosh, we've got this $1 million investment that and we didn't own the property. My stepfather had bought the property. So for him, it was investment property for him. I think at the end of the day, he probably thought this isn't going to work. I'll buy this property. We'll build it out. When paintball flops, I'll sell this property and make some money. And Jared will learn a big lesson out of it. Like I said, be careful what you wish for. We made it survive, and we worked hard and just put a ton of blood, sweat, and tears into it. And that's where the business kind of took over my playing at that point. I jumped on board with CEP, I think in 2008 or 9 for an event. And I played some small stuff here and there, but yeah, so fast forward to 16. I think it was 2016. I don't think there might be some stuff in there with APPA might show some combat. So we formed a little team out of Insane called Combat just to play some 5-man NXL, just goofing around. And we did well. It was just D4 5-man. It wasn't like we were playing anything high level, but we went to Nashville, did good in Nashville, got some help with entry fee to go to Ohio, and we won Ohio. So then I was like, okay, now we have an entry. We can go to World Cup. So then we got knocked out at Cup. So
just keep it rolling.
I was like, hey, if we get entry fees paid, we'll just keep playing. But yeah, so we did that. And so during that 2016 season, though, there was a UWL event in Nashville at a field that's no longer in business. But Tom Cole was running the UWL series there, and it was a bunch of the guys that turned into the Fight Club community. So basically, before Fight Club was a thing, Spencer and all those guys, they played with a team in the old MESPA days called Lightning Strikes, and Lightning Strikes kind of was doing a reunion thing. And Gant McClellan, that had normally played with Extreme, he had jumped on board with them last minute, and they were needing a couple of players, and we had gotten to go Gant a little bit, and he was like, hey, Jared and Eric, they've been playing well 5-man, or they've been playing some NXLs, they probably want to jump on with us. So we jumped on. That's how I met all the Fight Club guys. And then, that was kind of where I got my foot in the door, the Sabre Wolves, which was crazy because, I'd been such good friends with Ryan like all of that's 98. He was part of that. It was like a weird full circle thing that just kind of happened. The stars aligned, and it was really neat to grow up kind of idolizing the Sabre Wolves since they were in our region, and now getting an opportunity to jump on board. So Gant, after playing that UWL, Gant got on board with the original Sabre Wolves crew, who threw back a team to go to the New York 10-man in 2016.
Okay.
So that was several of the original guys. It was Gant, Jacob Bird, Bill Oshbacher from the original Sabre Wolves, Justin Owen from the original Sabre Wolves, Jacob and Caleb Adcock. Gosh, I know I'm missing a few of the guys. I'm sorry if you listen to this note here. But anyway, it was kind of the original core, and they got together and played New York. So after New York, they were going to play the first, I guess, Fight Club 10-man event in Chicago, which is really what kind of launched with that new Jerry Braun's New York event. That's really kind of what launched the, what do you call it, the mech
Resurgence, yeah.
Resurgence. So anyway, so they needed a couple more players to fill out that Sabre Wolves roster, and so they asked Eric, that's been with me at Insane for a long time, him and I to go play with them at that Fight Club event, and so that's how I got to know the Sabre Wolves group. So I already knew Caleb and Jacob Adcock, which were from the original Wolves, just from Sabre Wolves pups and stuff as kids. And I knew Jacob Bird a little bit. I knew, obviously, I knew Gant, so he's who got us the opportunity to meet up with those guys. So it was neat to get to meet a lot of the new guys that I didn't know as well and form. And man, that's really where like the run took off. It's crazy. So that was 2016. The years are kind of a blur through 2024, I guess. So that was 8 years of what was really just a bunch of friends getting together playing, man. We just turned into like a really tight-knit group. Justin used to always call it lightning in a bottle. Like it was just like we somehow just put together a group of guys, none of which were like crazy superstars. We had no paid players. We had obviously really good players on the team, some of which had played pro in, years ago. But we didn't have like any of these guys, just, hey, we're going to pick you up for this event. It was literally just like friends, like a family. Dude, we played well. It was really cool. I mean, and as a kid, growing up, seeing the Sabre Wolves dominate the MSPA and knowing guys, it was just neat to get to be a part of that like lineage. And so I was super blessed to get to go on that run with them. I'll always be sad that I missed the 10-man ICC Pittsburgh win. That was the World Cup that we had just opened this new facility in 2022, I guess, and they won, I guess, in 23, I guess it was, and so or 22 or 23. But anyway, we had some stuff crazy. Just I was so busy trying to get this new facility up, I had to miss a couple of events, and I was so proud of them for winning, but I was just like I missed the ICC win. Man, it was cool. We got to go to England. We won an event overseas.
You guys did win that one, didn't you?
Yeah, we won.
How cool was that, getting to travel? Which, like, you grew up in the same era I did. Like, you read all the magazine articles about these young pros getting to go over there, and then you finally get to go over and win.
Yeah, dude, it was magical. I think it was really, really cool. I had only been, I guess you call it, overseas once for paintball. The original Aruba Open that they did. Yeah. I went 2 years in a row to that and got to play both years, but I actually went with Dark Carnival in 2002, I guess, and that was a really cool experience. But getting to go to Europe, man, like you said, you read the magazines as a kid, you see all the cool wooded fields and stuff, and all the just like the Nam Wrecking Crew and Robo and just all these like people that you kind of idolize as a kid, and getting to kind of go, walk in their footsteps a bit was really neat. It was cool. All Americans went over, so that it was not an easy. You used to always hear like the Americans would go to Europe and typically be a lot better than the European teams. Like those guys were good over there. You couldn't play lightly. The All Ace sent a team. There's one more I'm not thinking of. Anyway,
Lockout
maybe
went over.
Yeah, the Rhythm, I think it went over. Yeah, so there was a couple of American teams that went over. So, you had to play good paintball. I mean, it wasn't a pushover event or anything. It was unique the way they do their tournaments. I guess it's kind of traditional. They don't do like prelims, semis, finals. You basically play like 10 preliminary games, and that's the whole tournament. So
it's all round robin.
Yeah, so it's just like the first few games kind of seed you into like whether you're in the pro division or the amateur division, I guess, based off your points. And then from there, you just keep racking up points. So like every prelim game matters a lot because that's your total score for the tournament. So so I think we played All Americans pretty late in the event, and I think if I remember correctly, it came out of that game or one other that we had to win to clinch the so it was kind of like a finals match in the prelims, which is crazy. But no, it was fun, man. What was really cool with that one is my wife got to go. A lot of our wives and family got to go to that event. So getting to experience that with her was really cool. And so we were kind of celebrating anniversary over there. Nice. So we went like a week prior to the event and kind of hung out all week, and then played the tournament on the weekend at the end of the event. So that was bucket list. Just it was magical. It was really cool to get to win that with the guys and to get to experience that. Yeah, man, we won I guess 2 Mounds World Cups, which was really cool. We a lot of good 5-man finishes. A couple of I guess before the ICPL was going to to New Jersey, I guess they were playing. They did some of their own tournaments up there, and we won a couple of those events. I mean, gosh, I didn't play with them at maybe one tournament, but the guys, the MSPA 5-man series came back. And I think they won like every event for like 2 years in a row, and basically got ran out of the series. Like, you guys are
too good. You gotta go.
That was the Adcox and Aaron Rios, and I think Elliot Rodriguez and those guys. But yeah, so they kind of just ran that series pretty crazy for a year and a half or so. Yeah, man, that was just a super cool opportunity. Man, it's 8 years. I mean, it's crazy. It went by so fast, but most paintball teams don't make it 8 years. Like
no.
It's funny if you think about it. Like the whole original NPPL in the old days was from like the mid 90s to like 2002. Let's call it 8 or 10 years. I mean, and you think that was a long time, and it's like, man, that would have been like us playing from beginning to end of the original NPPL 10-man or something.
Yeah.
So it was a fun run. Life just takes people in different directions. I'll forever be indebted to Justin Owen. He is who made that happen for us. If it weren't for his generosity to the team and his love for paintball, we couldn't have kept it together as long as we did. So thank you, Justin. We love you, man, and miss you. But yeah, Justin was definitely the anchor that really solidified that team. He just got busy with life and kind of decided to take a step back. And I think a lot of the guys, learning to win is super hard, but continuing to win after you've learned to win is almost even harder, because everybody's got a bullseye on your back. And and I think the team almost became a victim of its own success a little bit. Like the guys just kind of the flame kind of just died out a little bit, for everybody. And luckily, I mean, I will say it was really cool to get to play the last game with them at ICC the year after they won. I did play that next year, and it was cool. Just everybody in that final kind of huddle, just like, hey man, I love you, dude. It's been a fun run, knowing that was the last game, and we won that last game pretty solid, and that was it. It was kind of an end of an era. So that was definitely a huge blessing to get to be a part of that. But so that was, I guess, through the end of the 24 after ICC of 24. So that was July or August of 24. Obviously, people knew the Sabre Wolves were kind of moving on. Everybody kind of went their own ways. A few guys haven't played since. Some of the guys are now playing with other teams and, kind of jumping around to play with different people. But Ken Barrett, back to the XSS side, he was kind of reforming Dark Carnival just to have fun. A lot of the Greenville Growl guys that had played NXL semi-pro, they were just want to do something for fun. They didn't really want to practice and take anything serious, and it was just kind of like, hey, we still want to hang out and be buddies, but we just don't want to do everything it entails to try to play pro paintball. So yeah, Ken reached out. He knew I'd obviously been playing with the Wolves, and him and I had a good relationship from way back. And I guess he felt like I would be an asset to the team in some way, shape, or form. And so he called, and I'll be honest, I was kind of on the fence of like, man, I don't even know if I want to play that much. Like it's been such a good run with the Sabre Wolves, and the business is kind of at the new location. We're finally getting on cruise control now, and I'm trying to just focus on making sure that we're successful here. And my kids aren't getting any younger. I've got my daughter just turned 18. Excuse me, this last year, and my two boys are 8 and 10. They're growing up quick, gosh, the whole time I've been playing with the Wolves, they've been growing up, you can't get that time back. And so I was like, man, yeah, I'll do it. I'll jump in and play with you guys and see how it goes. If the team wants me on board, great. If they don't, no hard feelings. I'm not going to be upset. If I play one event, y'all decide you don't need me. So that would have been, what was it, last year's Tampa?
Yeah, it was. It was this year, but it was last year's last event.
You're right. So it was like January. It's very confusing. So I guess with that we played. I played that event with Dark Carnival, and the team played well, and we won, which was cool. It was fun. I mean, for me, it was really neat. To get to win an event with Ken after knowing him all those years, and him giving me that opportunity with Dark Carnival all those, back in 2002, it was, again, another full circle loop that was kind of completed. I'd completed that loop with Ryan from the Sabre Pups, and now I've gotten to complete this loop with Ken. So it was really neat. And so from there, it was kind of like, okay, well, I guess from winning you get a free entry fee. So again, it's like, well, I guess we're going to try to play the 2025 season, and so basically, we lost a couple of guys, jumped over to the new trauma crew, and then so we picked up a couple of new guys, and then anyway, the team went to Atlantic City. Not to get into a lot of specifics, my head just really wasn't in the right spot. I don't know. I've always dealt with some depression and just struggles on, I don't know, kind of just self. I don't know. It's just kind of been in a funk, sometimes. And anyway, a couple of weeks before the Atlantic City event, we had 13 guys on the roster, and I just wasn't really feeling it. It was nothing against the team. I just wasn't in a good place. I was like, man, if I can't go and be an asset to the team, I don't want to waste their time or my time going up there just to, especially since we had 13 guys. I felt bad. We had a couple of people last second that couldn't play, so I should have went.
You should have went. I think they ran with 10 or 11.
Yeah, they ended up winning with like 10 guys. So so they won the tournament. So I'm glad I didn't go. It was perfect for me not to be there. They won and it went great. So props to them. I told them, hey, if y'all don't want me to play after me kind of belling on you guys, I totally understand. Like, it's not the coolest thing, obviously, to do. No hard feelings. I'm just not in a good place. But they said, no, man, do what you got to do. I was feeling a little better by ICC, or I guess call it, I don't know what you call it now, Pittsburgh Open, I guess. It's not the ICC anymore. So we went up, a few weeks ago, and managed to get the win there too. So that's 3 in a row for the team. So now we're looking forward to Tampa, I guess, to finish out the season. So see if we can't sweep it, I guess. So we know the target's on our back. And if I've learned anything over the years now, playing a lot of 10-man, is it's hard to stay successful. So I know it's not going to be easy to win Tampa. So we got to, obviously can't be overconfident or do anything that's going to trip us. But
well, you got a lot of good guns on that team.
There's some. It's crazy, man. It's funny. I didn't know a lot of the guys on Dark Carnival very well. I mean, I know Mark played with us on Sabre Wolves for a year or so. Eddie played that very last Sabre Wolves event with us at ICC. So I got to know him a little bit. Obviously, I knew Ken. What was really cool at that first Tampa event that we won, again, kind of another circle kind of closed. I was able to kind of rekindle some old Mayhem
Okay.
teammate.
Friendships.
Justin Wall was playing with us at that event. So he went back to Trauma when they reformed, but it was really cool to get to win a tournament with Justin because we had done well with Mayhem in 03. We had a second, a third, I think, or four or whatever, and it was. We were always that close, and I always loved the Mayhem kids. When I left that team, like I said, it was a pull to leave Mayhem and jump to XSF when that 03 season was over. So it was really cool to get to win event with J Wall as well. So that was a really fun experience. So I've gotten to know the new DC crew pretty better as so obviously I'm still getting to know the guys after playing a couple of events with them now. But it's a great group of dudes. Everybody's really chill. It's awesome. It's there's a lot of similarities to the Wolves, and everybody wants to hang out at the house together and just enjoy time. It's not like you got guys just kind of going off on their own and doing stuff. It's definitely a very close knit group of guys. So you can see why the team has been successful so far. Is everybody? It seems there's a lot of trust amongst the guys and that sort of thing. So it's cool to get to be a part of the new DC. It's pretty awesome.
And was Mark on XSS with you also, right?
So it's hard for me to remember all the timelines exactly. So I played those couple of events with XSF in 04. He either played the second one with me or he came on board shortly after I left.
Okay.
I can't remember. It's one of those things that's been so many years, but yeah, so that was kind of a cool circle as well as, him and I had rubbed shoulders, way back. It's neat. I got to play with a lot of the guys way back that went on to be very successful in the game from a playing standpoint, and that was really cool. I think after I didn't play with XSF in 04, I played with a team called Demented Kids at World Cup that year. That's when I was kind of playing with Troopers and 7-Man, and a bunch of the kids from Demented Kids ended up the next year. That was 04. So 05 is when the new Gridlock started.
Okay, and those guys became the new Gridlock.
Yeah. So a lot of the kids from Demented Kids ended up going to North Carolina and playing. So that was kind of neat. As a lot of that group, and some of those guys ended up playing on Trauma when as after they'd won their championship, and I guess it was 6 or 7. So it's neat. Like I've kind of rubbed shoulders with a lot of guys that moved on, and I've kind of taken my own journey through all those years. It's neat kind of looking back and seeing where everybody's gone and the paths they've taken to get there.
Awesome. Well, and hey, Kevin, this does not get you out of doing this, by the way. I know you're watching. You have to sit down and do this.
It's easy. It's no big deal. It's no big deal.
Kevin's my boy.
That's awesome.
So,
he's been fun. I've enjoyed getting to know Kevin and hanging out with him. So he's definitely a super chill guy.
Oh yeah. He's love Kevin for sure.
I think after Pittsburgh, we'll have to see. He was playing a little bit of a new spot. From my understanding, in the X-Ball side of things, he was always kind of front guy in your face. I've gotten to know him some through the new. But I think he's kind of found a niche in the backfield a little bit, holding it down, man. He played well in Pittsburgh. But so I overheard him go, man, he's like, I kind of like this, man. This is cool. So it's neat, man. It's such a tough position, man. Playing back in 10, man, there's paint coming from so many spots, and you've got to have good survivability and stuff. And so he did a good job. He communicates well, and definitely it's cool, seeing that he's kind of not a lot of guys appreciate all the spots in the field, and so who knows? Maybe he's found his new niche. So it's awesome.
We're gonna keep throwing him in the snake every chance we get.
break his knees until he can't crawl anymore.
We don't care how old he gets. It's snake one.
That's it. Good stuff.
Man,
I don't know what else from there, but yeah, man, the field has really been our big, I guess, priority the last couple of years. It's a big transition. I've learned a lot personally. I've had to grow a lot, from the business side of things. It's been, it's just been crazy, like going through situation. All those years we were downtown, we leased that property from my stepfather. So obviously he was part owner in the business for a number of years, but also landlord. And so I learned a lot from him. But this journey to this new location has been on my own, and I've had help from, a lot of support from my wife. And then obviously, as I mentioned, Eric earlier, he's been with us for a long time. And we've got another guy, his name's Mike, who's stuck things out with us for a long time. And those guys have been huge rocks for us. But yeah, it's been a crazy learning process going through. Like we bought this property we're at now, so we wanted to set ourselves up for long-term success. You've seen so many paintball fields the last few years. It's kind of scary how many have gone out of business essentially because they've lost their land, and that effectively happened to us at our location downtown. We were just fortunate enough to be already kind of looking for land and in the process of trying to get something purchased when we found out that it was being sold. But yeah, it's crazy. So I've had to really kind of put on the business hat and take off the player hat a lot the last few years, and just focus on surviving. Obviously COVID was crazy. Nobody knew what was going to happen through that whole process. I mean, it's wild to think that was already 5 years ago, but we went through, a lot of unknowns during that process, and then came off of it with the paintball industry exploded and everybody was playing, and it seemed like nobody could do anything wrong again. It felt like early 2000s in paintball all of a sudden.
Didn't it, for a little bit there?
It was about a year and a half. It was like, oh my gosh, paintball's back. We're like 2004 numbers here. And then then obviously, whatever side of the road you are politically, but it just, things obviously have changed now. We're right back to, everybody's had to kind of tighten up again, and things aren't doing well for a lot of people. So we're really trying to strategize and make moves and changes and adjustments to where we can set ourselves up, long term to be in good shape and keep offering a fun facility for people to play at, down the road.
Well, and owning your own land means you control your own destiny, right? Like, if you're thinking about opening a paintball field, think about buying the land.
Knowing what I know now, there's no other way I would do it. I mean, unless it's purely just a hobby. I mean, which you really shouldn't do it if it's just a hobby. I mean, in my opinion, there's a lot of fields out there that you always hear that term, for the player, by the player, and I agree in a lot of ways. I'm a player at heart, so I'm doing it for the player. There's probably a lot of stuff I could have done that would have made more money and made, financially would have been better off if it weren't paintball. But I think a lot of people just get this itch because they love paintball and they're like, hey, I've got some land, or I've got access to some land. I can either lease it cheap or maybe use it for free or something. And hey, I'll throw up a paintball field and I'll hook everybody up and we'll, everybody, we're gonna be the Mecca area of the place, and like the idea of it's all well and good. Like, yeah, we're players. We're going to do this for the player. But what you always see happen over and over and over again is people do that, and then they don't either understand the financials very well, and they either don't charge enough, and everybody loves a hookup on whether it's cheap paint or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, at some point, things are going to break, and things are going to fall apart, and things are going to need upgrading. And when you don't have the money to do that because you've made no money, time and time again, you see the fields, they'll just slowly disappear, or people have a full-time job and it's their side gig. You can only spend so many weekends at the paintball field is your side job until you burn out. And you're like, man, okay, I've worked 40 hours a week or more, and now I'm working paintball field every weekend. And maybe now I'm going through a divorce because my wife is mad because I'm never home.
You're never home.
Or whatever, And then, you think in your mind, like, well, I'm opening a paintball field. I love paintball. Like, that's one of the big reasons I quit playing paintball as much. And so it's crazy. People open fields thinking, what's going to let me play more paintball? And a lot of times it's just the opposite. You're like, if you love paintball, you probably shouldn't open a paintball field. Like, obviously you should love it if you're going to do it. But yeah, if you love to play, guess what? You might have just set your countdown clock to not playing as much paintball. I mean, and so it's real easy in the moment to be like, I'm going to open a paintball field. We're going to have the best price and this and that around the area, you know, but there's a lot more that goes into it if you're going to do it right, you know, and that's, you know, and that probably hurts the industry a lot more than people realize. There's a lot of fields that aren't doing things right. You know, they've got nets that are barely up, or you pull in, the parking lot's a mud pit, or, you know, it's just like, yeah, it's a paintball field, but do you really want moms or customers coming in and that's their first impression is this kind of just junky looking place? And, you know, like everything we do here at Insane, you know, we try to build our fields and our amenities, our staging, our parking, just the grass coming in, like so many fields you go to and you just see that weeds and stuff all over the place, you know, and like, I get it. It's a lot of property. Mowing and weed eating's no fun, you know, like we laugh a lot of times, like, man, we've got we're a farm with no animals, you know, like it's never ending. I mean, we probably spend on average 10 hours a week mowing grass and weed trimming. I mean, it's never ending. But you want that first
you're
impression.
A landscape landscape company with a paintball problem.
It's crazy, man. It's like which hat am I putting on today? Okay, I'm bringing my yard working tools today, and tomorrow I'm going to bring my climb a pole and do net maintenance, and then the next day I'm working on air compressors. You know, so it's never ending. And I think the difference in like your great fields is, you know, from the moment you pull in, you know, the landscaping's kept up, you know, the grass is mowed. There's not trash laying out everywhere. There's not muddy pits all over the place. There's, you know, it's just, you can just tell like, hey, somebody takes pride in this. And the way I try to look at it is, you know, I kind of equate everything to like Disney World or Six Flags, or, you know, like you don't go to those big theme parks and just see them looking like grown up and falling apart. Like you almost don't even notice how neat they are because you don't notice anything bad. You know, you just notice the fun. And so sometimes it's like, man, like I don't even know if anybody cares or knows that like these weeds aren't here. But at the end of the day, if you just keep letting them grow, they're gonna get worse and worse, and eventually people are gonna notice. I mean, this place just doesn't look taken care of. And so that's kind of the way we kind of view everything. And maybe it's to some of my own detriment. Like I probably am kind of OCD with it, and it could drive people crazy. But
I don't think so. The most successful paintball fields have a key for detail. You know, I can't remember when it was on, but it was Tom Cole talking about showing up to do a ICPL, and there was a car door in the parking lot, and the excuse was, "Oh, that was a prop for a scenario game 3 months ago." Why is it in the parking lot? You know, like that's not a good image.
Yeah. You know, it's wild, you know, and you know, I know some people like, well, hey, I don't really care. I just have an inflatable field for X ball, and I just run teams, and I don't really care about walk-ons. And I guess if that's your thing, I guess that's fine. But it's still, at the end of the day, you're just not giving a great image for the game, you know, and I. Again, I don't know. I get on my soapbox with it all day long sometimes. And,
preach. Preach.
It's like, you know, if everything about the field that you're running is about, hey, we offer cheap paint and we hook everybody up, well, that's fine. But now all the players are kind of being spoiled by thinking that's the standard. So when they do go to a legitimate part that has to offer, you know, things at what I call normal prices, which now seem high because you're used to this place over here that does everything really cheap. It's really just it stinks for everybody because now the players feel cheated by the nicer park, and but then they go to the not so great park and get these cheap prices, but the venue is not very good. So at the end of the day, the player is the one that's really getting penalized. They're not having a great experience, or they're feeling like they're getting ripped off. And so so then all of a sudden it I don't know. It's kind of like paintball field owners over the years have kind of been made out to be like villains if you are trying to run a business that needs to be profitable to stay afloat. It's not about being in business to make a ton of money to go get rich and buy a fancy new car. And I guess if you can do that, great. But at the end of the day, it you know, for us, we want to create value for our employees, a good work environment. And, you know, we have a couple of full-time guys. This is what puts food on their families' tables. It is for me too. I don't have another job. I feel like we get fair to probably less than average for what a lot of players make. I mean, it's funny. A lot of people are like, you're making tons. Like, man, I could probably ask some of these people what they do, and they make way more money than we do, you know, and it's like, you know, so I don't know where the argument is for people, but it's, but yeah, it can be frustrating sometimes that field owners get kind of villainized if they're trying to make money because they have what's kind of seemed as like maybe a higher paint price than some other field that's just doing it part-time hobby. And I'd say there's a very high percentage chance within just a couple of 2 or 3, 4 years that quote unquote cheaper field is probably not going to be around, and there'll just be another cheaper field that opens up in its place because somebody else thinks, well, I can do the same thing, so it just kind of have that vicious cycle that goes over and on and on.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But yeah, we just try to stay consistent. And I think being open now 25 years is kind of proof of if you just stay consistent and offer a good customer service and you offer a fair price that does allow you to make enough money to stay afloat and pay your employees and your bills and expenses, but isn't extreme. You can have kind of the best of both worlds and give people the most bang for their buck. And that's our goal. We want customers to have a good experience. And when they come here, know like, man, I felt like I was at a paintball park. What people vision is a park. We have grills for cooking, like a state park would have. We've got covered pavilions that have gravel under them, so you're not standing in the mud staging. We've got picnic tables. We've got I don't know. There's probably all kinds of amenities out there I'm not thinking about, but just stuff that a lot of times you kind of take it for granted. But we want it to feel like a park when you come. Just like you would if you were going to some other outdoor entertainment space, things that would be just common sense to have. So that's sort of the vision that we've tried to implement.
Yeah. Well, and I've only seen photos, but it looks fantastic.
Yeah,
it looks like what I want paintball parks to look like as a longtime player, been to a lot of dirt rocker parks, as I like to call them. But like your park looks like it's got good parking. It's got the staging, makes it feel nice, right?
Yeah, no, that's a big part. Even as simple as like the bathrooms. I'll be the first. I'll raise our hand. As a lot of people that may watch this show or listen, no, we didn't have indoor plumbing at this location until just this last year. When we bought this property, there was an old house on the property, but everything had been ripped out. We had to tear all the old stuff out. So we had to live off of porta potties, kind of like what I call your typical paintball field, for a couple of years. But even with those porta potties, like I was conscious about I want to try to keep these things clean. Like I don't want people to come in and feel like they're using a nasty porta potty. But now that we've got indoor restrooms, for customers, I try to look through all other what I consider successful business models. Buc-ee's. You go into a Buc-ee's on the interstate, you're going to get clean bathrooms. When you come to Insane Paintball, you're getting a clean bathroom and you're getting top-notch toilet paper. You're not getting, thin toilet paper that is horrible. We spend more money on toilet paper because we want players notice it. It's funny. We've had people be like, man, y'all got awesome toilet paper. I'm like, it's intentional, and those are the little details that, sometimes go unnoticed, but they go noticed when you don't have them. Maybe they don't go as noticed when people get it because they just kind of assume it's going to be that way. But we get a lot of moms and stuff coming for birthday parties, and that's obviously our big demographic of customer or groups. We want them to know when they come here, it's not going to be different than if you went to the jump park or the skating rink or the bowling alley. I don't want them to feel like they're driving into a junky dirt lot that is like, what are we doing here? Especially a birthday party's not cheap, and so we want customers to feel like they're getting the most bang for their buck.
Well, and having plumbing and stuff like that, pretty basic things is part of that experience. Especially for the mom and dads who maybe it's the kid heard about it at school and he wants to try it and they aren't sold on it. If you have a nice facility that helps sell mom and dad, which maybe in turn, you get 10 kids, 2 are going to stick with it. So, in turn, that means mom and dad are going to come back to you and buy the gun and buy the basic setup and then, creating that long-term player.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, it's definitely tough to get people to convert from rental player to gear owner. So if you start having a bunch of reasons that don't either A, your park doesn't look safe, B, your park, it kind of looks like a bunch of punks just hang out and, smoke weed in the parking lot. And next thing you know, parents notice these things, and at the end of the day, we're basically glorified babysitters in a lot of ways. And, parents don't want to drop their kids off at a place that doesn't look safe or just looks like, a bunch of, punks are running around, so I think all those little things go into, if you offer a nice facility, people just act more civilized. as crazy as it sounds, like you go someplace, you can tell, well, man, I'm in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't matter. It just looks like kind of, I don't know if the word's trashy. It just looks backyard, and so everybody's going to act more like they're in a backyard setting, but if you're at a business, it looks like a business.
Well, it's the same thing with like bars, right? Like if you go to a really nice bar, chances are there's not going to be a fight. But if you go to that crappy bar that,
you just never know.
There's probably going to be a fight.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And that's a big thing, man. Like the culture, you can tell real quickly when you go to a paintball field, like what the culture is like, whether it's like super hardcore tournament type guys that are going to put it on anybody that's out there, or is it a welcoming cop culture to where you can tell maybe the players aren't as skill level advanced, but you can tell everybody's kind of open arms and like wants to have a good time and grow the game, I guess, essentially is what it boils down to. And I'm not saying you can't have like the hardcore fields, because you need that. I mean, obviously there's always a high level in the game, but building a culture at your park that's not like, hey, let's throw punches after every point because we're, somebody's mad about something or we're just that intense in the game. Like, I get it. I've played tournaments for years now. And I'm just as intense as anybody. I mean, you can ask some of the Sabre Rules guys. They actually have me a nickname because I can get kind of hot-headed sometimes. And I have to really keep that in check, especially like when I play here. I play with a chip on my shoulder. I feel like, I don't know, everybody kind of has the mentality they play at. And I play with a little bit of that chip on your shoulder, kind of aggression. And I kind of find that if I turn my mindset into that, I play better. However, I know where the line is if I'm out here at the field and there's newer players, and I know when to turn that off and when to like, hey, we got guys out here that aren't as this isn't a tournament. We're out here having everybody's out here having fun. But there are some fields where the culture is just everybody plays that way, and again, I'm all for hardcore competition and we definitely play a cage match type fight game.
Yeah.
But if you really want to see the game grow and the sport grow, you can't have dudes in the field, trying to swing blows in the parking lot over thinking somebody wiped a hit, And so
or MFing people, in front of moms and dads, like,
Exactly right. Yeah, because the last thing mom wants to do is let little Timmy start coming out and buy a gun and play when she's walking out and hearing a bunch of guys MFing each other on the field over something. It's like, oh, okay, I don't think I want little Timmy out here playing this. And so it's and again, it is the player's job. I mean, each player should be able to know the levels that they need to be at. However, there's a lot of fields though that just the culture at that field is they just let it happen. And I'm sure it's prohibited growth for us on the tournament front in some instances because it is a little more chill, mild. I don't call it lower level, but more entry level tournament players at our field than there are at some other fields. But it's almost a negative when you start having just everybody's this high level, real intense.
Yeah.
At what point are you running people away and you don't even realize it, because, and it comes down to the field owners or whoever's running the field. I mean, if they're not keeping that in check, it can real quickly create a culture of just chaos at a field. And that's not what you want, if you're trying to run a business, again, if it's in your backyard, I guess whatever goes, let it go. But so we're real conscious of that. Good culture, clean facility, variety. Obviously we don't, like we talked about at the beginning of the episode, we offer a lot of different good fields, not just we're not just an X ball park or not just a scenario park. We try to be a everything for everybody park, and take pride in everything we do, and I think that's what's kept us afloat for 25 years. We've had good staff too. I mean, having good people is important. our full-time guys, Eric and Mike, they've been awesome. We've got a good part-time crew of guys that work the weekends and help on the fields, reffing and stuff. That culture internally is big, trying to, real quickly, if you have some cancerous staff, it can cause trouble with everybody and bring the whole group down. So we're real diligent on trying to keep people on board that are assets and not liabilities for the company. And that's probably the most difficult part internally is just the staffing side can be stressful sometimes. But yeah, we've learned to manage that pretty good.
Well, and I think you do a good job, especially with partnering with the Blue Ridge guys. Like the mech scene, especially when you take it out of the competition, I think is a lot more chill than the tournament scene, right? And I honestly, I wish they like D6 was mechanical. I think it'd be lower barrier of entry and everything. But
I would get a lot of pushback, and I'm okay with it. And you would even push back on it. But in all honesty, I think the whole industry should be mechanical only.
You aren't going to get pushback from me.
I
love it.
From a player perspective, I mean, I've played X-Ball. I've played, back when it was unlimited semi-auto. I've played ramping 15. I've played ramping 10-5. I played, I even forgot to mention kind of during our chat about teams, like, which I guess my guys are going to kill me for not saying it. Like shout out Chattown Ballers. When we first opened the Insane Fields, we had an X-Ball team called Chattown Ballers, and they played a couple of years or a year or so of X-Ball, and they played a year or two of 7-man. Did pretty well in their division of those years. Them and CEP were always kind of punching back and forth locally back in those days, in the early CEP years. But so I got to play with Chattown some. I've played all forms of paintball. And call me old school, whatever. I come from the 90s, but I truly feel like the game in its purest form is the most fun with the modern mech 5.5. And I would argue you could raise 5.5 up to about 7 balls per second because 5.5 is so outgunned. I don't think 5.5 is really fair, but I think
by these new mechs.
Yeah, the new mechs, man. They shoot faster than 10.5. I mean, you can't consistently shoot them faster, but you can shoot bursts faster. But I think it's more cost effective to play. It's way more new player friendly. Hence, the Blue Ridge Paintball Club is more. It's open to so many more people because of what it offers being mech. The intensity is just the same. I mean, I see no difference in the intensity of the game. I think it would be much more enjoyable to watch professional players play mech than electronic because it would just change the way the game's played, I think, so much. Obviously, the gun manufacturers are the reason that would never happen. There's so much technology in electronic guns now. But the game would be so much more fun across all levels and more affordable for the masses if it were mech everything. And I think it'd be fun to watch the pros play mech. I mean, I think it'd be a really cool experience versus what they do now. But
yeah.
What am I to know? But yeah.
25 years of experience. I think a good little bit.
I might get in trouble from the industry for this one, but we shake our heads sometimes, man. Like, I love paintball to the core, but it's unfortunate that a lot of the decisions made in this industry are only from people who play tournaments. They're not people that look at all types of paintball and go, okay, what's best for the growth of this game? I'm not against paintball being on TV. Do I think that's the answer? No. I think there's better ways paintball could be filmed that's not even really the tournament style that we know. But again, it wouldn't be the popular opinion. But if you think about it, just about every gear manufacturer out there is someone who came through the tournament realm or is still involved in the tournament side of paintball. So the only lens they look through is a tournament lens. They don't look through it from a field owner's lens, from a rec player, scenario player, and tournament player lens. And that, I think that's a detriment to the game in a lot of ways, but, I don't know. I think case in point, every social media post you see just about online is a tournament airball type photo. And we talk about wanting to grow the game. Excuse me. All the photos are going to people who already play the game that like those pages, but there is no money being generated to show off like recreational paintball get into paintball. Like it's all geared towards some guy sliding into an airball bunker that most people don't have any idea, what that is if they're an outsider. And all the people that are seeing it are currently paintballers. So I don't know. I mean, I get it. You got to show off new gear and equipment and promote, but it doesn't seem like there's really any push to grow the game from the ground level. It's all kind of geared towards get people on an airball field as fast as they can. It's kind of a coincidence. The NXL is the biggest league in the world, and everything seems to be geared to try to get players to go play that and not just play paintball. And again, I love the powers that be at the NXL. I think they do a great job in a lot of ways, but I think the industry as a whole needs to take a step back and go, okay, what do we have to do to grow this game? And it shouldn't be to push all of our players off a cliff right into tournament paintball when that is the biggest step up to play. I mean, we see it every weekend here. I say every weekend on a regular basis. Players get in, they buy gear, they realize either they can't hack it on the field and we're talking playing against D4, 5, and 6 players. We're not even talking against like high level players, and they get shot up a few times and they don't play anymore. Or next thing you know, they're buying an airsoft gun, and they're never going to say, "Oh, that hurt." I mean, nobody wants to be the wuss and say it hurt, but there's always a reason, and you just don't see them anymore. There's a lot more people that's happened to than I think the industry realizes, and we've done a disservice by not promoting, all forms of paintball more than just the competitive environment. But
well, and when you look at the competitive environment, at least I think the learning curve has gotten steeper at the beginning of the curve, and it's really steep. Then it plateaus for a little bit, and then it's decently steep again once you're getting into D3, D2, semi-pro. They all have their chumps, but
there's a nuance of the game at that high level that takes a while to figure out. But that steep, it's like once you get your feet in, if you can survive that initial flat line and take your lumps, you'll learn this. But it's really hard to get people even to the point where they go up because it's such a wall they hit. It's kind of you got to have a little bit of a screw loose, to want to be that style of player. And obviously there's always going to be those people out there, and that's all of us that have played tournaments, and do play tournaments currently. But there's a huge chunk of the population that doesn't necessarily want that style of play, and again, I think it's a male thing. People obviously aren't going to admit like they're either scared or B, they got shut up. It hurt, like it hurts to get shot with a paintball. I don't think anybody can really, we've all been shot enough now. We know like it is what it is, but like at the core of it, it hurts to get shot with a paintball. At least enough to where you've either got to be okay with getting shot to continue playing, or it's going to kind of run some people off. But if everybody's being kind of pushed to a format to where you're probably getting shot 2 or 3 times minimum a point, that's getting shot a lot for a day, and that's not even taking how many times you might get bunkered if you're not very good, So it's a very steep hill to climb. Yeah, so you're right. Once you get to the top of that first level, now you can cut it, but now you're at the top of this next plateau, and that's really learning the nuances of the game before you can go to the high level. And so we're just the industry's got to find a way to retain people at that before they even get to that wall initially, and there needs to be more of a slow, gradual, and then it can curve up at some point. And I think
that's what I liked about mechanical, right? Like, so I started playing in 1999. So Tippmann, ProLite Reynolds, like you could get a Spider, and like, it didn't compete with the auto mag and the auto cocker, but like you weren't totally outclassed. Right. Like you didn't
get a rate of fire on it that was a little bit higher.
And that allowed, I feel like that allowed people to stay in a little bit longer and still think about being competitive, and then you want to make that jump before you really start playing events. You might play your first event with a Spider or something, but shortly after that, you're going to jump off to autococker or mag or whatever. And now it's just like from mechanical straight into the machine guns.
It's crazy. And what's funny, and you really take a step back and look, it's like 2 big things happened. The guns got faster, and the fields got smaller. like, I mean, at least back when 7-man was big or 10-man in the old days, I mean, the fields were huge, you know. So when people started bringing in electronic guns, you still, you know, the bunkers were kind of sparse on the field, so it was hard to make moves. Now, you know, you can make bumps running and gunning so easily. You know, people weren't locking things down the same that they do now. So when the fields got as small as they are and the rate of fire just went up, it just totally changed everything. And I think part of it too, I mean, if you remember back in the late 90s, early 2000s, if you played a local 3-man tournament, you know, you'd be excited if it was on an airball field. Like, if you showed up and heard there was an airball tournament, like, well, this is a big deal. You know, usually it was on a spool field or some random woods field or something. And I played many a 3-man tournaments as a kid, you know, that were barrels and drums and spools, and you know, and there was not this expectation that every event has to be like this big production. You know, it was more about play as a team. And I think what's made it tough for people is now, like, people are having to choose between going and playing on the weekends at a local field, and whether you want to call it practice or just going to play paintball. I mean, I remember back in the day when we just went to play paintball. It wasn't like every day was a practice. I mean, practice sounds like work. I just want to go play paintball and have fun. But but yeah, you know, the local events were affordable because the facilities or the tournaments weren't trying to put on these giant productions, you know? So like the only time you went to a tournament that was like a production was if you went to an NPPL national level event or the ZAP Masters or the International Amateur Open in Pittsburgh or, you know, Skyball or Mardi Gras. You didn't have like every local regional event was trying to put on like this mini NXL event in a soccer field, which obviously isn't cheap to lease, or the infrastructure to put up fields and take them back down a few days later is you know, huge. So what happens naturally? All these costs are getting passed along to the teams because you've got to cover these costs. And so then who's reaping the rewards? The only people reaping the rewards are now the hotels. And then if you go to, you know, depending on how long the event is, you know, the rental car companies and and airline companies are who reap all the benefits. So then the paintball fields are left going, well, man, the only time I see these guys is if we have a layout drop, and otherwise they don't play paintball because nobody can afford to play paintball once you start playing big events. But what's wild is the big events are even regional events now. I mean, you know, without naming names of leagues, I mean, we all know everybody's trying to make their league better by offering more amenities and make it look nicer when you show up. But all those things come at a price, and that has to get passed on to the players. So, I mean, I wish like low-level tournaments and regional tournaments, kind of like the MSPA and the old school CFOA, they were just at paintball parks on random fields. And then people can get a taste of tournament paintball on more of a recreational style field. Then they can fall in love with the competition side. Get better at just playing paintball, learn the basics, learn how to snap shoot, learn how to, you know, learn how to read a field, learn how to just do the things that we all did as newbies way back when. And then once you were ready to say, go to World Cup and throw a team in whatever division, you're not just going out like confused, like, what am I doing? You know, and that might be a bad example, but like, you don't feel like you've got to go to this airball tournament and have it all figured out with a pit crew and the whole 9 yards as a D6 team, you know, and you're like, I don't know what's going on here. And then if you get beat up a few times, these guys are going, well, that was expensive, and I got shot a lot, and we didn't do very well. I don't think I want to keep doing this, you know? And so then we all lose them as customers because they're not playing at our field or anybody's field, but they're not going to tournaments, and now they're riding bikes or hiking or something, you know? And so I think regional events need to be cost effective for players to play a lot of paintball and just get used to playing tournaments. They don't need to be trying to replicate the NXL at every event. You know, and then I guess my last argument would be, I wish the NXL weren't offering low divisions. I think to play national level events, I think you should be a national level player personally, because again, as I mentioned, guys at D4 and 5 and 6 are trying to go to NXL events and play. The only people winning are car rental companies, Airbnbs, and hotels, you know, and airline companies. So now they're broke because they're trying to play these big series, and they can't afford to play smaller regional stuff, you know. So I wish the NXL, honestly, I wish it was like D2 and up, which is kind of the old way. It was MB, MA, and Pro. To me, that's like D2, semi-pro, and pro. I mean, so I think if that, and then they could use smaller venues. They would have a lot more options for places to go set up events and not have to have as much infrastructure on their side. The reffing would be better for those events because they wouldn't have to have as many refs. I mean, it just goes. I don't know. Again, who are we? I would love to sit in some of these meetings and chit chat, but I guess there's reasons for everything. So Anyway, sorry, I got on myself.
I agree with a lot of what you said. I think when the PSP first started X-Ball, the lowest division was D3.
I think it was D3. Yeah.
And since then, there's D5 and D4 now nationally.
Yeah. And then D6 3-man, and then you've got 3 or 4 5-man divisions, and it's just like I get it. At the end of the day, they're a business, and their goal is to make money. I mean, I'm not going to fault them for it. And that's fine. They can, offer all you want to offer, and if players will sign up, great. I mean, that means you're doing something right if people are signing up. I just wish the industry as a whole might not put all of their eggs in that basket.
Yeah.
Or it seems as though the industry puts the majority of all the eggs in that basket. And I'm sure it's because there's a lot of sponsorship dollars and stuff they've invested into that league. So it seems so naturally you want to send players to where you're putting your sponsorship dollars.
Yeah.
But I don't know that that's best for the general paintball players as a whole. Because, we see so many guys come in here in the store. They get the itch to play. They buy a gun. They're amped about playing paintball. They might start playing hyperball and stuff a little bit. But because for whatever reason, things have shifted over the years to where there's not as many just general recreational players anymore. It's like you have rental players and you have almost nobody in the middle, and you have tournament players. Yeah. So if a guy buys a gun and he comes out and plays a little bit of rec ball, but he's not seeing like a ton of people to play with, he kind of naturally is going to do one or two things. He's going to either A, stop playing, or B, he's just going to gravitate to the X-ball field because that's where the guys are playing.
Yeah.
But he's not at a skill level. He doesn't need to be playing X-ball yet. He needs minimum 6 months, really probably needs a year or so of just playing paintball and learning the game. And then if he's like, okay, I think I might want to try competition, he can sign up for a local 3-man tournament. It's played on the hyperball field or the woods, and then he can go, okay, competition's cool. I love this. This is awesome. All right, I'm going to start playing this. Maybe these airball guys, or and at least it'd be a stepping stone. But currently, it's like, okay, a guy's been playing a month, and he goes and plays airball, and it's literally, it's like you said, it's sink or swim. And most sink, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And the few that swim, you got to give them credit, and they got a little grit.
But
it's a shame for the industry. There's just not enough. You just don't want to run off that many people by pushing them into a format that is not very inclusive to the masses.
We got a little group of guys right now out at my local field, and they're new, and luckily there's enough of them. Right, they'll play on the hyperball field, and then they'll come over and play with us a little bit, and we try and be nice and give them pointers and like talk to them after. But they'll play with us for a little bit, then they'll go back to the hyperbal.
Which is awesome. At least they can get a little
taste.
It
is awesome, right?
Yeah,
like
they can get a taste, and that's great. Like I think they should get a taste occasionally because like there is different levels of this, and then somebody else will go, well, I want to aspire to do that. That's awesome, but they're not like pigeonholed to where they feel like that's all they can play because there's not enough people to play other stuff. So that's really cool. And
it's nice they have a group, right, that they can kind of grow with. Where like if you don't hit it at the right time, you might not have that group where you can bounce back and forth.
Yeah, and you made a good point, man. Just being able to kind of show those guys some tips and pointers, and like that's one thing. As I was talking about culture at the field, we've got a gentleman who's been playing several years at our field. His name's Robert Hanna. Shout out Robert if you listen to this. That dude's been a great ambassador for the game. Like he goes out of his way to show people, like pointers and tips and tricks. A lot of times, he'll take kids under his wings and stuff. He's typically most weekends that he's here, he's the first one here, and he's literally the last one out of the gate. Like that guy, he eats, sleeps, and drinks paintball, but he just loves it, and it's really cool to watch how he's fostered like community when he's here. If everybody even had half of that, and like you said, you guys are showing guys some tips. Well, there's so many people have what's the right word? They're They don't want to be shown up, or they're I'm tipping my tongue.
Like ego.
Ego, I guess. Yeah, they don't want too much pride. I guess it's too. They have so much
There you
pride.
go.
They don't want to ever get beat. So they play everybody so hard, like it's like they're at a tournament. It's like, man, like it's okay if you lose, but at the same time, they're like, well, I've got to uphold this ego. Like I'm so and so, I can't get beat. And it's fine, play people hard, but like you don't have to put a few extra on some guy at a rec day. Like it's like, man, you shot him once or twice, dude. You have to put 6. Like, well, in a tournament, you put 6 on them. Or, well, it's in a tournament, but that is where the players have to know. They have to know the levels they can and can't push, and that's really hard as like field owners. Like you can try to set a great culture and stuff all day long, but if the individual players don't understand the importance of fostering new growth into the game, then it doesn't work for anybody, and it does stink. Like it'd be like, I don't play golf, but I can imagine like if golf was a contact sport and you go play golf and you're really good at golf and some new guy you're out golfing with him. If you play really hard and destroy him, he's going to be like, man, this isn't a lot of fun. But it might not be as much fun for you to like game your own game down just to make it. In golf, maybe golf's not good. Maybe let's say tennis or pickleball. Like maybe you're hardcore. But like if you play the game like you play other experienced players, you're going to run that guy out of the game quick. So it's like, well, I'm no good at this. This isn't fun. But if you can tone your game down a little bit, play at 80% instead of 100. I don't know, but at least, and maybe some people, well, that's not fun. Well, I don't know what to tell you. If your mindset's that's not fun, and that's just, I don't know what to say, but it stinks for the guys that do want to try to get into tournament ball, but they walk on the field. Next thing you know, they're up against a line, on the field.
Yeah.
It's like, we all want to play together. We're here for practice. Well, I didn't know today was an organized practice. It was pickup ball, but now you got the 4 or 5 dudes that play together all the time, playing against 4 or 5 pickups, 2 of which are kind of new. Obviously, they're going to get blown off the field. If more players just knew when to tone it down a little bit to make sure those other players have fun, I think more people would enjoy the game. But man, there's a lot of like ego and pride that it's hard to push aside to make sure everybody's having a good time, because nobody wants to get beat, and so you're playing a combat sport, and so it's hard to tone it down, and so it's
well,
tricky.
I think that's where you have the EMAC or like the old autococker in the bag, and if you roll up, and my brother and I bought Resurgence when they first came out because we were like, oh, great, a new autococker, like the 99's looking a little rough, and we spent years like just going to play, and we realized like the places we were going didn't have like our caliber of tournament player, right? Not that we are anything special.
No, but still, there's always a separation in general.
Yeah. So we'd break out the autocockers, and it slowed us down a little bit. And honestly, we had more fun with the autocockers because it reminded us of back in the day, and it's just fun to shoot an autococker.
Oh, of course. That sewing machine sound, you can't ever get enough of that, man. No, that's a very good point. The guy I mentioned, Robert, that I mentioned a while ago, that's really good. He does that. I mean, every day, I don't think he would come out here. He's got a pump gun in his bag. He's got a 50 cal, like, cheap Spider Opus pump gun, like or a semi-auto. Like he pretty much comes prepared every time to do exactly that, which is so cool. Like you'll see him sometimes. There'll be, if there's maybe not a bunch of tournament type guys here, he'll grab his pump gun and go play rec ball, and so it's, that's the definition of a true ambassador to the game, and what you guys are doing is awesome. I think if more players took that approach, it would help grow a lot. I'm sure a lot of the reason we got hooked when we were younger, the fields were bigger, woods fields, stuff like that. So it gave us more time to learn the game a little bit. But it was cool, like on a rec day of play, you'd show up at the field. If there were some tournament guys there, it was never like, oh, these guys are playing together and they're playing against everybody else. It was really just like it was like pickup game, like street ball. So it was fun to get to like rub shoulders with the quote unquote pro guys. There were some guys from a team called Crush that played MPPL in the mid '90s, and they used to come out to our field some, and we were all intimidated by them. Like they were tough stuff. Anyway, like it was neat though. Like you could ask them questions and get to play a game with them sometimes. Sometimes they might be, hey, you want to shoot my gun or whatever, and that was really neat. Like getting opportunities. It wasn't them just pounding on you. It was learning from them. And our game has become so like cliquish and team oriented. You know, it's like teams go to practice, teams go, and it's almost like this is our tribe, that's your tribe, and we're playing together all day because we're here for practice. And you're like, man, like just go play paintball and have fun, you know, and everybody will have a great time, and we'll see more people play if that were the case. But it'll again, the culture of fields dictates a lot of that, and it's tough to kind of. It's tough to grow that culture and get everybody to buy into it, because that's the key. Everybody's got to buy in and understand the long-term growth is really big for everybody. So, anyway, yeah, that's fun. We can talk about it all day. It's one of those things I'm just like, I'm passionate about it, man. I'm still 25 years later. I'm still, I guess, almost 30 now playing, but it's really cool to talk about ways to grow the game and stuff like that. So.
Well, your passion shows through, like, from the very beginning of this. Like, I was like, this guy is really passionate about paintball still 25 years in. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm just a paintball nerd, man. Like, I think you get older, but it never really grows out of you, I guess. So there's some days I'm burned out. I'm like, I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want any of it at all. I'm so sick of it. Usually it's some disaster happens out here at the field. You know, it's like what's going to break next, or we have a tree will fall in a pavilion or something crazy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go again. So all you can do is try to laugh it off and just roll with the punches sometimes. But no, it's fun though. I enjoy it.
Well, we are 2 hours into this thing, man. So thank you so much for your time. Thank your wife and kids for me.
I will. Yeah. They're at soccer and cross country tonight. So
okay.
Out. So she's holding the fort down for me. Yeah, Mandy, love you, babe. Hope if you listen to this, thanks for all the support. You're awesome.
Yeah, shout out who you want to shout out real quick, and we'll hang it up for the night.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, man. Obviously wife and kiddos, Mandy, Venture, Everest, Emma, y'all are awesome. Thank you for all your support. I know a lot of late nights and cold dinners that I show up to, but man, I appreciate all y'all's patience and I love you. I guess a big shout out to my mom for believing in me way back. God, if it weren't for her putting her motorcycle on collateral, just insane. May have never been anything. So thanks for taking a chance on me. Thanks to my stepdad for giving me the opportunity. Eric and Mike, our full timers here, man, you guys are awesome. Thanks for all y'all do for us. The paintball community, all insane customers for the last 25 years. Thank y'all from the bottom of our heart. If it weren't for y'all, we obviously wouldn't be doing this. So we'll keep trying to give y'all the best place we can to play and reinvesting back into it for all of you. So thank you. Other than that, I guess, you mentioned Blue Ridge Paintball. Keep your eye out for Blue Ridge signups. They're probably going to be out by the time this comes out. So sign up for Blue Ridge Paintball Club. You'll have a blast if you're just looking for some rec ball or it's a little bit semi-serious kind of tournament type stuff. It's fun. Join the mech stuff if you haven't tried it. It's awesome. Other than that, come see us, Insane Paintball, playinsane.com. You can get all the info about us. So, we hope to see you out here at some point.
Nice. And we'll see you next time on the Planet Paintball Podcast.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Thanks for tuning in to the Planet Paintball Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Whether you're out there grinding in the divisional pits or chasing dreams on the pro stage, remember, it's all about the passion, the hustle, and the love for the sport. Shout out to 1023 Sportswear for sponsoring the show. Don't forget to use code Planet Paintball at checkout for 20% off your order. Gear up, save big. Until next time, keep grinding, keep growing, and we'll see you back here on the Planet Paintball Podcast